And we're back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jake Kerr. This is a Black Ink podcast. I'd like to welcome you. I'm coming to you hot and sweaty from an F45 session. It is actually 7:15 on a Monday morning, and I thought, what better time to make my debut appearance for the year on the Black Ink podcast. Now, if this is your first Black Ink podcast ever, I would like to welcome you. I am Jake. I'm the person behind Black Ink. Maybe you know me, maybe you don't know me. Maybe you're doing a deep dive into my stuff to figure out who the fuck I actually am. What sort of shit goes on up here? And to be honest with you, it's nothing that crazy. But I do want to start on one note. Someone messaged me the other day and was like, hey man, hey, how you going? Like, just touching base, how you going? You know, like, good, hope the fucking family's good. Was just wondering, like, when you do a podcast, what microphone do you use? And it's like, bro, literally just fucking watch any of them. Watch any of my podcasts. And you know what? I get it. Going to YouTube and typing in Black Ink and having to click like 4 or 5 times and then actually use your eyes to look at something can be difficult for some people. So just go to my Facebook or my Instagram page and look at any of the extracts that I upload. You know? Because like every podcast, you can see the mic in the screen. But that's all good, you know? That's all good. That's fine. So you know what I didn't do? Didn't answer them. I left them on scene. And I didn't even leave them on scene to leave them on scene. I left them on scene because I spent so long thinking about how I'm going to politely answer that question without saying, just watch one of the podcasts. I spent so long thinking how I can say that politely because I'm not just going to tell you what I use. You know what I mean? Because even though it doesn't take anything away from me, it's disrespecting me that you think it's less energy to communicate with me to find out that piece of information when you can do it for yourself. It's like when I see people posting Kerr Park residents or like Bunbury's ask it, answer it, you know, no rules or whatever, and they ask a question that they can Google, or they don't even like ask a question, they're just like, rain. Like it rained the other day, and I get it, it's like end of January, it's fucking mind-blowing that it rained. But the comment, the post was just the word rain. Yeah. Hey, Janet, I know it's raining. Okay? But thanks for your contribution. Thanks for your input. Now, I have actually taken a little bit of a hiatus between probably January 1st is when I last uploaded a podcast, which is with the very fun podcast guest Shaz. In the meantime, we've actually released this shirt and a like baby crop tee sort of thing, one of those tight short tees that girls wear. So we've released that. I've actually made all of them and sold all of them and delivered all of them. So that project is officially kind of come to an end. And yeah, it's crazy to think that I had such a break that whole project has taken place in the time that I've been away. But with that said, I really did need some time away from the podcast. And it's not that I specifically need time away from the podcast. It's there's so many elements to my business now that I really need to be responsible and not just being flat out all the time. Like, I would love to just post 3 times a day, every day on all my social media. But it's just not possible because there's only a certain amount of energy, there's only a certain amount of bandwidth, and I don't want to over-exhaust or allocate myself, and then the price that I pay is having less energy or time for my family or for my hobbies or for myself or for my recovery, the things that really matter, you know, those kind of platinum foundation things that you need to be correct, otherwise nothing really makes sense on top of it. So I thought the podcast, and this is the thing, the podcast isn't actually a lot of energy. The formula behind it is pretty crazy. Like I've done, you know, over 1,000 hours of podcasting and editing and uploading and you know, finding the guest and having the conversation and doing the podcast where you didn't press record or you didn't get, or the audio wasn't right. And there's no return. There's no monetary return. People sometimes talk about it. It's a very useful tool to have long-form conversations with people that you're interested in and not have any interruptions and kind of be forced just to sit there and talk to each other. But otherwise, it's a super thought-provoking process that it does take energy. It takes a lot of concentration and energy, like energy as in like, it doesn't matter. It takes a lot. That's the point. That's what I'm saying. So I gave myself a nice month off. I tried to record a podcast, and look, it's not even the end of January, and I'm recording my second podcast because I recorded my first podcast, which I fucking did the intro for like 17 times, and the audio didn't work on the one that actually worked, and I ended up recording an hour-long podcast. But you know what? Who fucking cares, okay? Because we're here, we're living, it's Monday morning, we did our 45, and I rode my push bike, long story. Riz had night shift last night, so I thought, yeah, I'll still go to F45 by myself, first time, because, big boy, pull my socks up. I thought I'll ride there, that's a bit of a warm-up, it's like, what, maybe like 8Ks or 12Ks or something. I'll ride there, warm up, lock my bike up, go do the thing, and then ride home. Little did I know that this is like, they're like, oh, by the way, we're doing like an initiation today. We're gonna give you some targets that you're gonna try to reach. But if you don't reach them, that's fine. You're a pussy. But hey, there's targets up there. If you make it happen, you make it happen. So it's like you do this one, and then you kind of gauge like where you're at. Like you're meant to count all of your shit and remember what you did without writing it down. Anyway, the formula is, a lot of the stuff about F45 drives me insane, but I love the idea that before like 6 a.m. every day, I've been sweaty, I've got everything moving. That exercise thing, I've just got it out of my mind, it's done, you know what I mean? Just it's done. Someone's like, hey, you want to go for a run? You're like, shut the fuck up, I've already done my exercise today. Oh, but there's like a runner's high underneath. I smoke weed to get high, dude. You fucking pussy going for runs. That's not how I actually feel. But who runs? You know what I mean? Who runs? But yeah, it's good that like, it's got that routine where, you just go there, they pick all the exercises, all you have to do is just do the actual exercise. So I do appreciate that about it, but this idea of like, oh, we're doing a 45-day challenge or something, and again, like I get it, you got to do marketing and promotion and shit to kind of make your brand seem more valuable than, not seem more valuable than what it is, but add more value to your brand wherever possible. So obviously they're doing that through this 45-day challenge thing, and this is like day one. So you do this on day 1 and day 45, and by day 45 you have that active comparison of like, oh yeah, I got better because I could only do 4.5 burpees before, and now I can do 7.5 burpees. So, and by the way, I'm definitely talking about the jump as the half, because the other half is, are you meant to do a push-up on a burpee, or is it just like you kind of lay down and push yourself back up? Yeah, I could definitely do more than 4.5 if it's more than pushing yourself up, but unimportant. Look, a lot has happened in the past month, and I've actually got a lot of exciting news to talk about because, busy boy, always got things going on. So let's start with the most recent thing, and we'll work our way back if I can remember it, So I got nominated for the Active Citizen of the Year in Bunbury, which is like apparently a very prestigious, not apparently, this is like, I say apparently because I've come to learn this after being nominated. It's not really something I knew about before I got the phone call saying, hey, you've been nominated. But it's like the most prestigious award you can win on a local level within the city of Bunbury. So every Australia Day, they award one group, one young active citizen and one active citizen. So basically, like, you've got one person, then you've got someone under 25 in the same category, and then you've got like a group or an organization that are doing things. And like the things that make you nominatable, so the reason that someone might nominate you is that you do a lot of work around the community, you're activating the community as much as possible, you're doing things that are like inspiring. I don't know the exact terminology for it, but it's along those lines. You kind of, you're a motherfucker, you're making things happen, you're stirring the pot. So as it turns out, there was a little bit of a it's funny because like once I said I'd been nominated to some of my friends, they're like, oh really, you got nominated? It's like, oh, this motherfucker nominated me. Oh, they did as well. And then like I told like Larissa's mum, and she's like, oh, what did you get nominated for? And everyone's like, don't act like you don't know what he's talking about. And I was like, oh, even she nominated me. So it was kind of cool to find out that so many people around me in my circle nominated me like 2 months ago, and just no one said anything. It's crazy. It's bloody crazy. And then to get that call to say, hey, you've been nominated as the Active Citizen of the Year, there's going to be a ceremony on Australia Day, come down, do this, rah, rah, rah. It's, to be honest with you, it's one of those things where, like, it's just, like, I've worked so hard for so long, it's kind of weird now to get recognition for it. And I'm not saying that ungratefully, I'm just saying that, like, I feel like I'm so dialed into what I'm doing, and I'm so just in tune to the stuff that kind of matters, To me, that's very relevant to me, right? And again, I'm trying to like make sure I really don't sound insincere in what I'm saying, because I do mean, I'm just saying like, to do what I'm doing requires me to be fully focused on just my shit. And I live very much by intuition. I live very much just by like, if the wind is blowing that direction, that means I'm meant to go that direction, right? So I try not to pay attention to any noise outside of that. I don't even like watching TV shows that are like too intense. I don't like watching different movies and shit on the weekend and picking up on these other narratives, because it takes me off my track. It makes me start thinking about shit that doesn't matter, right? So this award is so far out of my field that when I like got told about it, I'm like, obviously you get excited. You're like, wow. It's kind of like when you get a certificate in school and you're like, yeah, I'm the motherfucker for the month, you know? Like, I'm the one. I got that award like once, and it's like when everyone else has got the award. Like, look, better give it to Jake as well. What are we going to give it to him for? It's like, oh, we'll just say that he's a very, again, he's a very active participant in anything that requires him not to pay attention for longer than 3 minutes at a time. Yeah, write that down. They're like, can't write that. It's like, just fucking write it down. It's like, this is merit certificate for merit. Anyway, it's really hard throwing out jokes and not knowing if, you know, the response is so helpful. So to hear this, I was really excited. I was really happy. I was like, cool. And then when, like, you know, at the end of the day, when you've had time to, you know, the water settles again, you kind of think about it and you do a bit of research on it, and then you realize, like, damn, like, this is someone else's deal. Like, this is definitely someone else's deal. It's outside of my, like, it's outside of, dude, I got to turn the aircon off. I didn't even think about that. My apologies. Wow, oi, get more tangled in fucking less time. Are you kidding me, dude? Bird fucking came and made a nest while I was away. I'm sorry for everyone listening to this on headphones. You know what drives me wild is when you like have your noise cancelling headphones in and you're having a phone call with someone who's like, you know, walking upstairs or having sex or something, and you're just like, bro, are you trying to chew loudly, or are you trying to like do exercise in the middle of this phone call, or, you know, is there something more important going on that I need to know about right now? And they're like, oh no, man, I'm just fucking getting some stuff done. It's like, yeah, well, just don't get stuff done while you're on the phone, because I'm only going to talk to you for like 5-7 minutes, then you get to move on with the rest of your life. So just stop what you're doing and make this your main priority. Obviously hurt inside if I'm saying it like that. Maybe I need to, anyway. It was cool to have that kind of recognition. I keep on saying the same thing over and over, but that's all it is. It's all it is. And it's kind of interesting because now I'm forced to, well, not forced to, I guess I'm just really interested in exactly like, what is the city? You know what I mean? What is community? And I'm working on this big project at the moment, which is really forcing me to understand like gathering and people and community and society and hierarchy and leadership, and understanding how planning and organizing and everything kind of ties in. And then you start to realize like all of these beautiful things that are around you because somebody or a group of people planned them and executed them. They had a vision and they said, right, that's something that I take serious enough that I want to make happen. Then they made it happen. And obviously a lot of this comes down to government. You know, a lot of people, that word kind of carries this negative connotation, this cloud that follows it. And I think that's obviously because we've built so much distrust in government and so much, what would you say, like, so much just like divide. It feels like the government are like those people. It's like those people who wear like iron shirts and shoes that are uncomfortable, you know, like that's their deal. And when there's a decision to be made, like I kind of feel like, you know, who am I to have that sort of decision? Like, you make a water park, or you gonna fix a road or something? Like, dude, I fucking make t-shirts. Don't listen to you. That's what government feels like. And then government like realizes that I'm doing something. It's like, dude, I take videos of people doing burnouts on Harleys. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's not what I do, but essentially, you know, if you wanted to not bat in my favor, you could say that. It's like, well, what, we're gonna reward this guy for. But then when I heard what they said when I came up to the stage, and it is a bit of a blur because obviously I was like, adrenaline, your heart's beating, you feel cool. I'm the only person up there wearing shorts, which is super cool. And also probably like the youngest person up there by, 150 years or something. Oh no, there was that one other young chick. Anyway, so when I got called up, they were saying that I got obviously I got my skate crew and that I do podcasts with prominent business owners in Bunbury, which can help just spread news about their business and what they're doing and their story and stuff like that. And then I started to understand how that is valuable to them and why that is important, because I really do see myself in a bit of a bubble. And as I said, I keep myself in a bubble a certain amount just so that I can stay focused on the bubble. But then I kind of realized this bubble is a part of a bigger bubble, and that bubble is part of a bigger bubble again and again and again. That keeps on going on until you get the globe, which is the biggest bubble. And even then you're existing inside the universe, which is a bigger bubble, but it's a matrix, so it doesn't matter. But when I understood what that value is, it was like an immediate feeling of being connected to this community in such a more purposeful way. I understood how the things that I'm doing and the plans that I'm making and the things that I'm trying to execute, they're not just important to my community, they're important to the community. They're important to everyone. Because even the people that aren't involved, the people that are sitting back and just hearing echoes of Black Ink or Jake Kerr or whatever it might be, they're the next motherfuckers. You don't know if in 15 years time it's oh yeah, there was that guy and he did this and he did that and he did that. And then I just saw him riding his push bike in Dale up one day and I realized he was just a guy riding a push bike. Because I've fully had that realization where I have switched to understanding Tom Cruise has showers. Tom Cruise washes himself with soap, god damn it, what the fuck? I thought once you got to a certain level of celebrity that you didn't wash yourself anymore. But of course he does. Of course he does. And he has horrible breath when he wakes up. And there's food that he likes and food that he doesn't like. And there's some stupid thing that he has in his head that happened to him when he was a kid and now it just plays over and over and over and over, just like a saying or something funny that happened or something that makes him smile or a smell that reminds him of a teacher that he had when he was young, because he is a human just like you. So I understand why I got the nomination. Now, did I win? No, I didn't. And you know what I realized while I was standing up on stage surrounded by people that went to school with Jesus? Okay, too far. It was too far. I'm being disrespectful because I'm a bad dude, I'm being disrespectful because Well, anyway, I'm not a bad dude. I just took it too far. So, when I was up there, I realized I have all the time in the world. These people weren't old as fuck, but they were my seniors. And I realized this is a nomination. At 30. At 27, we were driving road trains, and at 30, you got a nomination for active citizen. So I can take, I'm relaxed. I'm okay with that, And I think even when I turned 30, which I've been 30 now for just about 2 months, when I turned 30, I remember I had this friend where every time he talks about turning 30 when he was 29, he's like, I'm going to be 30 soon, I'm going to have to give up the darts, I'm going to have to fucking stop doing this, I'm going to have to start taking this seriously and fight a girl. And I realized, he was scared of being 30. He hadn't thought about it. He hadn't thought during his 20s, I better make the most of this because one day I'm not going to be this. One day I'm going to be something different. And I feel if you're worried about being 30, you're wasting time. You should be enjoying being 30, because there's going to be a day you're going to be 31. There's going to be a day you're going to be 40. There's going to be a day you're going to be 55 and wish that you could be 30 just for an hour. Just so you can take a nice deep breath and your body works and the people around you are happy and this person's still alive and you had that particular pet at that time and you were in love or you weren't in love or you were heartbroken or you really were going through a phase of doing this or doing that. And there's something so fucking freeing about that feeling. And then there's something so meaningful when you can activate that. And when you can activate that, not just as something where you go I'm going to really be grateful that I'm 30. I'm going to really be grateful that I can do this and my shoulders don't crack and everything works and I can pick things up and I can put things down and I can be useful to people. I can be useful to myself. I can get myself in situations. And trying to do that over and over and over until it's not just like this thing that you're steering in that direction, it's just your mantra. It's like, fuck yes, I'm 30. I'm in my prime. You know, like as a male, this is probably the best that I'm ever going to look as far as having youth on my side, accessibility, full function. This is it. This is it. From here, I'm going to start getting chest pains and that other knee's going to start hurting and we're going to have to stop doing this or stop eating gluten or, rah, 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 rah. But right now, everything's fucking awesome. And being able to relax into that and being like, yes, I'm in my 30s now. And there's things that I don't do anymore. You know what I mean? I just simply just don't let myself smoke cigarettes. And it's not that I'm not a smoker. It's that, and when I say, and this is the thing, you know what? Let's talk about this for a second, man, because like I feel this is something that is like a real thing that a lot of people have going on in their mind, but it's not spoken about. And this is cigarettes, And I hate having any sort of leniency for something that is horrible for your health, right? But at the same time, if you think responsibly, how can I have a problem? How can I say, I don't smoke cigarettes, they're bad for you, and then go do wheelies on motorbikes? Statistically speaking, I'm more likely to die on the motorbike than to have a cigarette every now and then. You know what I mean? Like I know actually, I'm not sure how those statistics measure up. Like if you're riding your motorbike every day or you're smoking cigarettes every day, obviously depends on both of them. Are you riding for 12 hours? Are you smoking a pack a day? Whatever it is. But, reasonably, if you're riding to and from work every day and you're having half a dozen cigarettes a day in a parallel universe, who's statistically more likely to die, because of the thing that they're doing. So, I mean, look, most of the time people who partake in some risky behavior partake in a lot of risky behavior, which by default raises their statistical chance of dying from the action that they're doing, right? And I get that. But I can't sit here and say that I don't smoke because it's bad for my health and then eat a bag of lollies before I go to bed. Like, it's all the same shit. It just has a different name. It just gives you a different feeling. That's all it is, and realistically, that's all of life is just you're trying to stimulate different feelings, and whether you're looking for a life of longevity and good feelings or whether you're looking for a life of like just immediate fucking satisfaction, either brought on by drugs or sugar or nicotine or sex or whatever it might be, you're doing it all for a feeling. You're doing it, even when you invest in yourself or you invest in your family by spending time with them and loving them, it's because you want the feeling of when you're 60 to have gone like, you know what, I got fucking 30 years with this person. I got the best part of both of our lives with this person. It's all for a feeling, for the feelings in between and to get to the end to have that feeling. So when you look at cigarettes, like I really like to break down like what exactly am I getting from this? When I draw on that cigarette, what is the feeling that I'm actually getting, and do I like the feeling, and then the feeling afterwards, and then the feeling after that, and after that, and after that, and all the things that are caused because of the cigarette, even the feelings leading up to it, the thoughts about it, okay, if I'm going to have a cigarette, ideally if I'm going to smoke a cigarette, there's two times I like it: first thing in the morning or like last thing at night. I don't like cigarettes in the sun. I don't like cigarettes in the real cold. I don't like cigarettes in the wind, but I do like cigarettes. Okay? Hey, said cigarettes 14,000 times in under fucking 90 seconds. All good. So, I let myself smoke cigarettes. Now, I don't smoke though, right? I don't smoke. But this idea that, like people say they recreationally smoke or they socially smoke and they do it when they drink, just makes me wonder, it's part of a bigger conversation now that I think about it, because people who don't smoke at all because they have and this is one thing I've learned about myself, they don't have any control, like they're addicted. When you're addicted to something, people don't realize that it's your voice telling you to do the thing that is bad for you. That's what addiction is. And I think I remember being a kid and saying I'll start smoking and quit smoking just to show you how easy it is. And obviously, that's extreme naivety talking. And bravo, young Jake. I fully respect the badass mentality I had back then. Dude, that was back when I was in the middle of being a softcock kid as well. I had nothing going for me. Like when I started skating, I had a kind of something going for me, but that was back when I was just like living in Port Hedland, shaved head, no friends because we moved every 10 minutes, in a class with like fucking 27 girls, and I was like one of 2 white kids as well. Like, just who the fuck do you think you are to start smoking literally the world's most addictive substance and then just give it up? Give it up because you're looking for something to do. You're looking for a new hobby, so you're just going to start smoking cigarettes and just go, you know what, I'm addicted, haha, you know? But, and the crazy part is I think about it and I still have that mentality now. Like I still have that, oh, nothing's impossible. The only reason I don't do heroin is because I don't have access to it. Nah, it's not true, Mum, don't worry. But the point being is that I think that idea where you either are a smoker or you are not a smoker, and the people who have like, oh yeah, I haven't had a cigarette for, you know, like, and they always tell you in days like, oh, I haven't had a cigarette for like 973 days. You're like, so that's like, it's like almost 3 years, I guess. And they're like, oh, no, it's 900. Yeah, oh, cool, man, cool. Anyway, you got the badge or? And like, I get that, you know, because it's kind of like nangs. You can never have just one nang. I guess there are people out there where they can't have just like one cigarette. But I definitely feel like, you know, I'll know, and like, you know, like I tried not to plan these things, but you'll be just having a Saturday and then all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and someone's invited me to a thing and I do have 3 cans here. So I'll just have them and we'll see what happens. And then like skip to all of a sudden it's 10 o'clock and you're like, I'm written off. Let's get some cigarettes. Start looking around, you know, pack of rollies over there. Got some Winnie Blues over there. You're like, I'll talk to him first. And if he's no good, we'll hit up her. All right. And then you go out there and you find out they're fucking the gel blast ones. And you're like, dude, suck me off. I'm going to smoke some rollies. So I'll always start the smoking when it's like, when you're in it, you know, when you're so thick and being pissed that like, it's literally hard to see things. You're just like, Yeah. You know, you can hear them all good. Actually, you can probably hear them louder than normal. Like, being pissed has some quality to it where you're just like, it amplifies most things, but then just like retards other things like your vision and like your ability to like balance and stuff like that. I don't really rate being pissed, by the way. I'm more of the sort of person, I don't know. I've learned just lately that like that bit before getting pissed is really cool. But unfortunately, you only get to experience it once when you're drinking, like in a session. It's like the come up of alcohol. I like that part. But regardless, I always find by the end of the night, on those nights when I've like decided to turn it on, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to smoke cigarettes. And it's weird because this is like the way you hold joints is like this. And it's like, I like to be a fuckhead about it and smoke my cigarettes like this. One second. Yeah, go on. I don't smoke my cigarettes like that, but it'll be fun though, right? Stupid. But I always find by the end of the night on those jobs, I'm always happy to just like, oh yeah, nah, cool, I'm done smoking. And you know, you have the bit of the emotional turmoil over the next couple of days, depending on how many cigarettes you smoke from the nicotine withdrawals. But other than that, like I never have a problem. Like I'm not the sort of person who, because I smoked on Saturday night, I have to go start, you know, like I'll grab a pack just to get through the weekend. If I went really hard, I'll definitely like keep a couple cigarettes for the next day. And you're like, I let myself have them as I want them. But then like as soon as that day's done, like, dude, fuck you. You're going to keep smoking cigarettes or you're a smoker now? You smoke cigarettes, dude? Look at yourself. You know, and then I just stopped smoking. So I think I felt so passionate about this that I thought I had something to say, like a greater point. But I guess what I'm saying is that I smoke cigarettes occasionally. Yeah, but you know, life is long. That might change. I might turn into a pack-a-day guy, and I might just decide to never smoke again, you know? And that's the juice of life. I feel like that's when you really get to, you know? Sometimes you just got to decide something that doesn't even make sense and then just go fucking do it, right? Just go do it. Like I had Drew from the city of Bunbury sit me down and say, Jake, look, you do stuff, Black Ink, you know, super exciting to see that there's stuff going on in Bunbury that you're involved with. we'd like you to, or not we'd like you to, but like, you know, if you can host an event, like we can help you fund that event. So I'm like, hey, that's super cool. Let me do some research. And I came up with this awesome idea, Roller Jam, which is basically an outdoor, well, let me start from the start. I would like to present to you Roller Jam 2023, Bunbury's first outdoor roller disco, proudly brought to you by BLXCK INK. And Roller Jam is going to be an excellent example of what I have to offer this beautiful town, Bunbury. And look, you're probably wondering exactly, what is Roller Jam? Roller Jam is a marvel of food trucks, a food truck spectacular, if you will, that surrounds an outdoor skating rink. This outdoor skating rink is going to be a beautiful big size and have a DJ on one end. We're going to have the lights, we're going to have the smoke machine, we're going to have the full nostalgic vibes of a 1970s, early 1980s roller disco. Okay, and even if you don't have your own skates or blades, if you do, you can bring them. But if you don't have your own skates or blades, you can hire some on the night. We have roller skates and roller blades in kid sizes all the way up to adult sizes, which means that you can come down, get yourself a feed, have a bit of a skate around, spend some time with the family. We've got a full chill out zone where you can hang out on beanbags, sit at the table and chairs, have a bit of a conversation, enjoy time with your family and friends, and then bang, rip onto the skating rink, have a bit of a boogie with your posse, with your crew, with your clique. You understand what I'm saying? And then when you got that sweat on, you can wrap it up, jump in the car and head home, because you are going to be worn out after all of that food and skating action. I'm excited about this. This is all going to happen on the 29th of April. It is kicking off at 4 p.m. and goes until 8 p.m. at night. We're going to have plenty of games and activities on the skate rink, and as I said, you have skate hire on the night, so you don't have to have your own skates or blades. You can come down and just have a good time rolling around with us. Now, you're going to start seeing little marketing and promotional bits and pieces here and there. You're going to see things on Instagram, on Facebook, on my website, on the Roller Jam website. I'm going to try to get on TV, on the newspaper, and on the radio. I'm also getting myself on the billboards all around the Southwest. I'm going to be talking to Facebook groups. I'm going to be doing a lot of word of mouth, talking to local business owners, talking to local shops in hospitality and retail. I'm also going to be trying to engage with as many sporting groups and kind of like niche subcultures as I can. I'm also going to be talking to my people up in Perth who are part of Perth Outdoor Rollerblading and try and get as many people down for the event as well. We're going to have a full media team on site. We're going to have a full ambulance presence just in case someone decides to do something too crazy and outside of their skill range. And we're also going to have a merch tent, which means you can take a piece of nostalgic merchandise home with you, maybe something with Roller Jam or Mr. Roller or something. I've already developed all the media package. Well, tell a lie, I haven't. I was heavily inspired by one of my mentors who basically did it for me because, hey, you know, your boy's still in his apprenticeship of all of this graphic design and stuff like that. So, basically, this is my presentation of Roller Jam to you, okay? And for the 5 people who listen to this podcast and for the 3 who watch on YouTube, I am personally welcoming you and inviting you to Roller Jam. I'm very excited about this. As of today, right now, which is Monday, January the 30th, 2023, we have officially 89 days until the event, which means you have plenty of time to book time off work or to tell your significant other that we're doing something on this weekend, or whether you need a, you know, maybe buy yourself a pair of skates and start learning how to skate. You've got plenty of time to get excited about this. You've got plenty of time to tell other people about this. That is going to be my most strongest and useful asset, is the word of mouth marketing and promotion. So if you can tell people, or if you can get them involved, or I don't know, just help me out a little bit, you know what I mean? Help me out. Just do the right thing, okay? Now, one thing I have noticed is in all of my research, and understand, like, dude, I'm trying to get 1,000 people over 4 hours, and to be honest with you, hey, come here. I want to get more than 1,000 people. I want to get like 5,000 people. I want to do 5 times better than what I'm anticipating. You understand? But don't tell anyone. I have noticed that running an event like this, and like I've done little events at clubs, and obviously, you know, we did, you know, like last year, for example, I did a beer pong tournament. I did like a reoccurring, like, what would you call it? It was like just an event night at a bar. I did a 22-inch pizza eating competition. We did a few rounds of that. I did my the Black Ink Easter Sunday sesh at Lost Bills for the second time in a row. We did that 2 years. I don't know if I'll do it this year because we don't have Maddie. Point being, I've done a few events. So I understand like logistics, security, hiring stuff, getting all your hardware, getting your sound right, getting your lighting right, But this is another level. This is about 3 levels, right? So you've got like what I was doing, and then you've got something, and then you've got this, okay? So this is literally like at least 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, the entire time. And I've had this going on, not at that intensity, but I've had this in the background, working on things, having conversations, talking to people, doing planning. And I tried to execute this for Saturday just been, actually. And I realized like 2 months ago, like this is nowhere near enough time, and over Christmas and New Year, it's the wrong time to be doing this. Let's push it out as far as we can according to the weather. So I researched the last 3 years' weather patterns, and I realized, right, you kind of want to go mid-April. Now, the reason I didn't go mid-April is because mid-April is actually the school holidays between term 1 and term 2. You have Anzac Day on the Tuesday back of the first week of term 2, which means you're going to have every Tom, Dick and Harry taking off the Monday and getting themselves a 5-day weekend on the last week of the school holidays. Now, when I say that out loud, you would think, why? That doesn't make any sense. There's already going to be heaps of people on the road, and the reason is because people are fucking stupid, okay? People go like, oh wait, is everyone going to be going to the place that I want to go to? Hey, honey, wrap up come on, pack up this shit. We got to get going. There's going to be people there. Come on, we got to fight for a spot. No, I don't want to hear it. Just pack up the camper. What? What do you mean the camper van's got a fuck wheel bearing? We haven't used it in 8 months. How's it got a fuck wheel bearing? Well, just go anyway. I'm sure it'll be fine. Come on, just pack the kids. Come on. Like that, right? That's what they do. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to go on the last week of the school holidays. Especially not going to go because of that Anzac Day thing. So I was like, cool. What about the next weekend, 29th of April? That's perfect. Bro, that's perfect. Wait, you're telling me that GTM is on the 6th of May? So GTM is the following weekend. You mean that we are going to have a 5-day weekend, and then we're going to have the roller jam, and then we're going to have GTM in Bunbury? A fucking trifecta of weekends, all back to back to back? Hey, get me out of the oven, because I'm done. All right? And you're probably wondering, Jake, why did you do this? I did this for you. I did this because I fucking care about you. All right? And I know it sounds like I'm being silly, and I'm a silly boy, okay? I am being silly, but I need you to understand something. Roller jam, when I think about it, when I see it in my head, you know, like when I really think about it, I see it, the sun's going down, the sun sets at like 5:40, right? And I was talking about the weather patterns before, we're going to come back to that. The sun sets at 5:40 on the 29th of April 2003, and the sky's like, you know, like that darkish kind of orange? You know, like normally it's like kind of a bluish as the sun's setting, but it's like a real fucking orange, like a Bunbury orange, and you can see the stars before the light's completely dissipated. It's like one of those like magical evenings. It's like 19 degrees. It's 19 degrees, so it's a little bit cold, which means that if you're on the rink and you're skating around, it's perfect, right? It's perfect. But if you're just sitting back and you're eating one of them German wiener dogs or whatever they're called with the onion and the mustard from one of the food trucks, from one of the like 25, 30 food trucks that are around, which means even if you didn't want the wiener dog, you've got like another 24 options. Are you kidding me? You almost didn't want to get this because there's like so many other options, but you got this. But maybe you've got a little bit of so you got like a long sleeve on because it's not cold, but it's not, you know, it's not warm sort of thing. It's one of those nights, you know. And yeah, it could be a little bit warmer, but I'm happy with 19 degrees. That's perfect, right? Now, went deep down that fucking rabbit hole. The weather is absolutely perfect, and when I think about like what this actually looks and feels like, dude, man, it's just like community. It's like a beehive of people just having fun. You know when you like listen to a crowd of people and there's like someone randomly laughing and there's kids running around having fun, and there's that baby over there that's crying, and there's these people talking about work over here, and there's like someone ordering some chicken treat over here, and there's that person that you know that's like giving you the nod as they walk past, and you know what I mean? It's that. It's being connected. It's having that, dude, it's having that like a reason to collect. It's a reason to gather. That's why this is literally for you, right? Because That doesn't happen without a bunch of individuals making individual choices to check it out, right? And like, I make it so that the reason for you is that there's food, there's skating, there's entertainment, there's a visual marvel. I try and add as much value as I can. But the true value that comes from this is the participation of people. It's that we get to do this together, right? And I get it. Skating is a dorky sport. I'm extremely fucking good at skating, and I feel like a dork if I'm doing it by myself. But if I'm doing it with someone else, it's different. I'm not a skater, we are skaters. We are going skating together. And then if I'm doing this with people that I don't know, well, the pressure's off. The pressure's off. I might start wearing some funky disco flares with a little like mesh singlet and do 2 plaits instead of 1, and maybe some see-through glasses that are made in the shape of stars. Why? Because I'm just in a group, man. I'm just chilling. We're skating. We're having fun. You know, listen to the music. Enjoy. And even if you're not skating, you watching a bunch of people do that will make you happy. Right? Dude, this shit is magical. This shit is magical. Like, I can't elaborate enough when I think about this and when I see this in my mind. It's so essential for me to do because it will be so amazing. It will be so good. So many people will be happy. And like I said, the kid who goes to that now, that in 15 years' time says, that guy ran that roller disco, which means I can do this. Because I know running a roller disco isn't that important. It's not that significant. It's not something that'll change the world, but it could change someone's world. And that's the whole fucking point. That's what we're trying to do, right? I know that it doesn't move the scale of humans' progress, but god damn it, it moves the scale a little bit in Bunbury, doesn't it? It gives you something fun to do on a Saturday night at the very least, but maybe you find a new hobby that you love doing. Maybe I get to give that to someone. The gift that someone gave to me, how much I've got out of roller skating in my life, which is too much to bring up on one podcast, let alone try and paraphrase into one sentence. The amount that I got out of roller skating, I might get to gift that to just one person that night. One person. But I don't think that's the case. I think I'm going to give it to like 100 people. I think 100 people will leave there and buy skates the next day. They'll come down to the skating sessions that we host every Monday and Thursday, and even coming to that, like, oh cool, so you're just running this roller disco so you can get more people to your group. I don't make any fucking money off the group, right? Like, I do it because I like skating. That's why I'm there. That's why I'm there every Monday and Thursday. Even if no one else is going to show up, I'm there because I am skating and I love skating. So fuck yeah. They might come down to the group and start skating with us on Mondays and Thursdays. Or they might go to the rink and start learning how to do some figure skating or how to do some roller hockey or some speed skating. You know? How magical is that? So I'm sincerely saying this as if it is my purpose, because it is. I do this for you. So whoever you are, come down to the roller disco. April 29th, we start at 4 p.m. I'm excited to see you there, and make sure you come up and say hello to me, because I'm not going to be flat out all night. So just come up and say hello, okay? And I have this problem where everything I everything I say sounds sarcastic. I'm not being sarcastic. Even if I am busy, dude, fuck what I'm doing. Come and say hello, all right? In other news, and look, it does hurt me to say this, but I'm going to say it. I went and saw Tom Segura live up in Perth at the Perth Convention Centre with my friend. And very let down. So if you're unaware, Tom Segura is I'm pretty sure he's a Texas-based comedian now. He was an LA-based comedian. He's part of not a group, but he's part of the kind of like that Joe Rogan, Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, Chris D'Elia, Eric Griffin, Brendan Schaub, kind of that group of comedians, which are like they're kind of like the cool kids in the comedians corner, I guess. And obviously, like, between them have like 43 billion follows on all the social medias. Tom Segura is meant to have been in Australia twice before already. Once of them, I had tickets to go see him, and then he booked a movie and just cancelled his Australian tour. The second time was a minute before coronavirus came, and ended up just, obviously not coming because of coronavirus. And then this time was like, he's lost all the weight. He spent half the time making jokes about Australia, which, like, dickhead. We've got like 4 fucking comedians here that have all made jokes about koalas having chlamydia. I don't care, And even if it was your opener that made that specific joke, by the way, next next time, can you bring a fucking opener who cares about opening the show? Like, both of you doing this thing, we're like, oh, I'm so jet lagged. I don't fucking care. Dude, it's your job. How many plane trips have you had in the past couple of months? Actually, you know what? How many plane trips have you had your whole career? So you know how it works? I don't fucking care if you're jet lagged. Do your job. Okay? Do your job. That's like the kid at McDonald's coming up and he's like, oh, I made your burger, but I left the lid off the bun because I got pissed last night. Oh, okay, I'll just go without a lid on this burger. Dude, I drove from Bunbury, fucked around, got food, had some drinks, did the thing, went to your show. I still have to drive back to Bunbury and get in bed at midnight for you to make jokes about being so fucking out of it because you're jet lagged. No. You've got a set, bitch. You didn't come fucking 20,000 kilometers across an ocean to not have a set prepared. So do your set. Don't try new shit on us. Don't try and do contextual shit for Australia. This is your first show for Australia. Do the jokes that you've got planned. Do them well and fuck off. All right? That was such a letdown. And then, like, understand, I'm saying this as constructive criticism because the man is amazing as an artist. He's amazing as a businessman. He's amazing as an executor, I guess. You know, obviously he has his entire studios, your mum's house studios, which are an umbrella for a heap of really good podcasts, and the majority of them I actually listen to, which is obviously like your mum's house, where my mum's at, Dr. Drew's podcast. On occasion, I listen to the Danny Brown podcast. That all falls under his umbrella. So that's amazing. And he is very, very good quality and has heaps of value on a podcast. And I thought, well, if this dude can come up with this shit on the fly, then the stuff that he's finely tuned for an audience in another country, like, this must be nuts. You know, he's got jokes that fucking bang, 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 bang. And the way, I kind of gauge a comedian on how they talk about other comedians and who they respect. And it's like, he is perfectly aligned with someone that I would assume has really fire material. And I didn't get that experience. And to be honest with you, I was kind of fangirling in a way where I thought it doesn't really matter what he says, I'm going to have fun, you know? And then to like get 2 or 3 jokes in, it's like, oh, we're still on the you're tired and you're in Australia thing. Like, yeah, we know. Your opener spent 19 out of 20 minutes making Australia jokes and comparing shit to America and making references to America that we have no idea. You know, like, you know that Hungry Jack's is just Burger King, right? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. What's the joke? So, anyway, hey, and this is coming from someone who I've made like 9 joke attempts on this podcast so far, and none of them been funny. So, well, I haven't heard anyone laugh. So, the fuck do I know? Right? That's all good. Oh, and also like bit of personal information here. It's not so personal, but I just don't want you to think it's going to be like groundbreaking and it's just bullshit, you know. So I do this exercise once a year where I write a letter to myself 5 years ago and a letter to myself 5 years in the future. And it's exciting because I'm now getting to the point where I've been doing it for so long that I have a letter to myself 5 years in the future from 5 years ago. And I mean, that's all very well and good. I have no fucking idea what the letter is, but it's kind of cool to have that rep, you know. And just so you know, I've been using the word rep a lot. And I mean rep as in like when you go to the gym and you get a rep in, you know. So like the idea is that if I want to build big biceps, I have to do, whoa. Don't just run through the chords, Louie. Fucking crazy. No. You're a good girl. No. Lou, come here. I know, it's crazy. Come here. Come on. Watch the chords. Come on. Oh, you're a big girl. Hey? But if I want to get big biceps, the idea is I have to keep on pulling up weights one at a time, and ideally you do like reps, and those reps make up a set. And then if you do a certain amount of reps, by the end of like day 100, you have bigger biceps, and by the end of day 1000, you have massive biceps, you know? So I take that same analogy and just go like, right, everything that you do in this world is a skill of some sort. And that skill can get better or worse depending on your what do you call it, like specific focus on that thing. So if you go like, right, I want to get good at chess. Well, you need to play chess. You need to get in the reps. You need to keep doing reps until you're good at it, until you get to a point where the reps don't feel like reps. They just feel like you're doing your thing. And then when you're at that point, you need to keep going, because that's what it takes to be truly great at anything, right? So I just see shit now as like, right, I'm getting in my reps. I've taken on the ambitious goal of learning 52 songs on the piano this year. I don't know how to play the piano at all. Well, I do kind of know now because I've been doing it for a couple of weeks. But the idea being that, most days, actually every day, I don't feel like playing the piano, but I have to get in that rep. And the fun part of it, where you look forward to going and playing it, probably comes when you know how to play. She just farted. She just walked all over my desk, sat down, farted. All good. Hey, next time I'm doing a podcast, just bark at the door and then come and walk all over my desk. And then when you get comfortable, just fart, brother. Just fucking fart, all right? But the idea is that fun part probably doesn't come until you've done your 1,000 reps and you're good at doing the thing, right? People see me ripping down the road doing a wheelie and they're like, oh, he's having so much fun. He's listening to his music. He's free. He's just doing this wheelie. He's peeling around the corner. And I am having so much fun. And then they jump on their bike and they're like, and a song comes on they don't like. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Hang on. Get your phone out. Put that away. Oh, my fucking tire's flat. It doesn't, none of that seems, yeah, dude, I know. I know exactly that feeling, because I did that 1,000 times before I got good at what I'm doing, and now I got to the point that I'm having fun at doing it. And now it's just like, yeah, put your fucking headphones in, go out, pull the front wheel up, let people know, run a clinic if you have to, and that is fun. So when I start to apply this across the board and you go, okay, cool, like the podcast, even episode 100, where I've spoken to the camera for an hour at a time or 45 minutes at a time, even episode 100 has heaps of improvement, which means that this particular skill set requires a lot more reps than what I've already put in. And that's fine. Now, when I look at this exercise of writing, you didn't think I was going to full circle this. You thought I fucking gone off on a massive tangent and forgot what I was talking about, like I already have done twice before in this podcast. Who cares? Keep going. This 5 year ago and 5 year ahead of me letter to myself and from myself, now that I've done it so many times, it's like, and they're spaced a year apart, I can now feel myself developing a real understanding of what's actually valuable in that letter. So and realistically, like, I'm only talking from a point of view of doing this for 5 or 6 or 7 years. Imagine when I've done this every year for 10 years. When I've done it for long enough that after I've written the letter, I have enough hindsight and forethought mixed together to go, I need to put this somewhere safe so that I can actually read it in 5 years' time. You only get that after like year 5, where you're like, I've been doing this for so long, where are they? And then you realize like why that's important. And you go, oh, okay, so it took 5 reps that are a year apart for me to understand like, oh, okay, that is like, this is super valuable, doing this thing. You're not going to get into that just yet, but that's very valuable. But this has more value in 5 years' time when I can look back and go like, oh, I thought I was going to be on this trajectory or this path or in this position. I'm actually way over here, and that's good because of this reason, and that's bad because of this reason, and da-da-da. But the crazy part about this, and especially writing a letter to yourself 5 years ago, the first thing you do is you say, what happened? Where was I 5 years ago? What was I doing? And then when you get that piece of information, you then straight away go into a comparative mode. And you're doing it right now. You're thinking while I'm talking, going like, what was I doing? I guess I would have been working this job. Oh, I just bought that car. I just got rid of that person out of my life. Rah, rah, rah. And then you go, oh, what am I doing now? Well, I still have that car. I still have that person ended up coming back in my life. Or I got myself out of this job and into this job. And actually back then I remember being really happy. Or back then I remember being really sad. And something that I realized when I wrote this letter to myself, and it's a 7-page handwritten letter, and I take it seriously. I write it as if I'm writing a letter to my nana. I try not to make any mistakes. If I do, I don't white them out. I don't go that far, but I definitely do like neatly scribble them out so you can't read it and then write the word correctly next to it, not like on top of it or some bullshit. And I realized that in the past 5 years, I have seen the worst days of my life and the best days of my life. And that's crazy, because I was a professional athlete up until I was 18. And being a professional athlete in anything that's as anaerobically demanding as skating. So, if you've done, track and field or cycling or, something that, not like fucking darts or something. And, there'll be someone that's like, darts actually is really fucking hard. It's like, yeah, but you can be a smoker and play darts. You know what I mean? Like, shut the fuck up. I'm talking about real shit that you've got to rock up. You've got to train twice a day for 6 days a week for years at a time to be anywhere in the top 100 people in the world. Like real shit. And man, that's highs and lows. That's highs and lows, Your lows are when you, most of the time when you're training, you know what I mean? Like beating your body down until there is nothing more, just so you can recover and just so you can do it again. Just so on game day, you've got the shit it takes to actually be in the running. So you already know that your body can sustain that sort of damage. Now all you got to do is mix it up with a pack sort of thing. And then when you have those wins, or you do a place better, or you do a time better, or you perform a little bit better, or you get something down in your technique, or you get your corners better, or maybe you get accepted onto a team, or maybe you go professional, or maybe you move overseas, all these massive things, right? And then in my early 20s, right? So this 5-year period that I'm covering is from 25 to 30. In my early 20s, between 20 and 25, I had such a tumultuous time with relationships and decisions and trying to understand who the fuck I am and what I'm doing and what my purpose is and all these things. And in reality, like now I look back at it all, it was just all kind of essential steps that everyone has to go through and get that bullshit out of the way so you can start worrying about shit that actually matters. But at the time, it's so powerful, it's so, And I felt that, the highest and lowest points would have been in that time. And at that point, it had been. I'd had some pretty shocking, not shocking, I want to say horrific, that's too far. I had some pretty detrimental breakups. I had a few decisions that I made that really were not ideal for me. They just, they put me in a position where I had to fucking, push shit uphill to get out of it. And they were just really unessential. Like I didn't need to do that. But also then I feel that everything I do is for perfect reason and perfectly timed because it's part of a greater plan. And I can rely on that and I let my intuition guide me by that. So, obviously there's some purpose to it. And I think there's also even things that I'm thinking about right now. I already have direct relation to the current day. It's like, oh, that was valuable because I learned this lesson or I met this person or I experienced this thing. So it's definitely interesting to then think like, oh, my early 20s were actually more significant than my teenage years. And then reflecting the other day, I was like, where I started 5 years ago, I was in hell. I was in hell. I was in a relationship that was toxic and it was a continuous loop of like narcissism and like just pointlessness, like everything was pointless. Like you would argue about pointless stuff and like you get excited about pointless stuff and like after a certain amount of time you're just like you're like, none of this is really even stimulating. I feel like I'm just in this like roller coaster of like, oh, argue, make up, do something extravagant, argue, make up, do something extravagant. And like, I'm not bad mouthing anyone in the relationship either. It was just like a fucking horrible combination of people, So, and I thought about that as well. Like, how come if I was so sad, why didn't I just get out of it? And again, when you're addicted to something, it's not like it's the voice of Satan telling you to do something. It's not like someone sitting there going like, have another cigarette, Jake. It'll make you feel good. It's just you. It's just you saying, I might have another cigarette. Yeah, I will. It'll help me. Yeah, it'll make me shit easier, or it'll make me be part of this conversation, or it'll make this situation a little bit more bearable, or it'll take stress off, or I'm celebrating or something. It's your voice saying that, And when I think about how sad I was and why I didn't just change my situation, it's because you don't have any real comparison when you're in the depths of sad, And I even feel like now I'm in a really exciting, fun part of my life and I see people that are gripped with depression and I think, why don't you just not be depressed? And I think that's a fairly natural thing to think when you're not depressed. And it's because when you're depressed, there is no option but to feel the way you're feeling. And in this sadness that I had like produced for myself through my decision making and through my, experimenting with life, I guess, I thought that I had created like this optimal situation that was at best, a 4 out of 10. But that was my new 10. It's like that was the ceiling that I built for myself. So therefore I was like justifying it and I was reasoning with it. And the crazy part about that even is like I relate that a lot to, and I'm going to put myself out on a limb here because this kind of excludes myself from particular conversations, and I'm not saying it in a pretentious way. I'm saying it in a way that this is an observation that I've made. But I see that situation and that shitty relationship as how most people run their lives in general. They work a job they don't like doing, working with people they fucking hate, married to people that they hate probably just as much, and defending all of it because their ceiling is so fucking low and their head's pressed up against it and their shoulders are touching it and they're just like, nah, I love having a sore back. And it's like, you just haven't been in another room for a while, And it's sad because it's not like you marry someone because you hate them. You marry them because you love them. And you love them because you spent this time getting to, when you first meet someone, you just don't want to spend any single fucking moment apart. You fall in lust, and that lust turns into love, and then that love turns into a relationship. And then unfortunately, what happens is as that relationship grows, your time for each other lessens because you have to get back to the real world. You can't keep having sick days. You can't keep taking all this time off. You can't just keep spending a week together and going to Bali. You have to eventually get back to a point where you're like, oh, we both just have lives, And then all of a sudden, you spend more time with Darren from work than you do with your missus at home. And you just wonder, like, why all of a sudden, like, do I hate her, but I'm really good mates with Darren? Well, you fucking spend all your time with Darren, you know what I mean? Like, whether you want to or not, good or bad, you're going to be hanging out with him. Now, I'm pretty sure when it comes to marriage vows, isn't the idea good or bad, you're going to hang out with them? Whether shit gets hard or easy, the idea is it's them, right? But the modern reality isn't even that. You get home from work and you're so fucked that you don't even want to talk to them. You just want to be on Instagram and see all the other options that are available in your local area, right? That's what that is. And if you don't think that's true, you're lying to yourself. And that's fine. That's fine. I'll lie to you too if you want. So, and also don't forget on Instagram, they're not posting bad pictures of themselves. They're posting the most flattering angles of all time. And then you look across and she's like ripping a fart, eating a bag of chips or something, and you're just like, oh, true, all good, And also, by the way, Riz, I'm not talking about you. I told everyone I'm excluding myself. I'm not in that situation, right? Because obviously I have a fucking very abnormal situation. I've got myself to a point now where I have like real time and decision. You know what I mean? I don't have any money, so I don't have like ultimate freedom where I can just go like, oh, I'm gonna fucking buy a helicopter today. But I do have this crazy thing where I just wake up and decide what I'm going to do, Like I went to F45 and on the way back, I'm like, you know what, fucking feeling it. Let's record a podcast. Let's start this Monday with a bang. Let's get it moving. And I did that. And then after this, I don't know, I'll probably go out for coffee, And if the shit that I've got written on my diary to do doesn't really, take my fancy that much, I might take the morning off. And a lot of people don't have that. And let me tell you, do that for long enough. The first year, you're kind of in such a it's funny, you're in a panic state. You're in a panic state because what we're wired to do is to chase money, right? Now, if you really want to inspire someone to chase money, here's what you do. You put them in debt because even when they're in debt, even when they're sick, they go to work. Even when something crazy is going on at home or their parents are dying or what, they still go to work. Why? They got to go to work, right? And then what happens is they have kids. And then their kids grow up and they turn 17 and they're like, oh, I want a car. And it's like, yeah, we'll go fucking buy a car. Oh, but all the cars I can afford is shithouse. Well, you really need to have a good, safe car. Just go get a loan. Here's how it works. You go to the bank, you say, I want to buy this, 2012 Ford Rodeo space cab. And I've got, I've saved up my own money, right? I've already got $470. I just need to borrow the other $22,500 if that's possible. And they're like, yeah, dude, that's fine. That's fine. Here's some paperwork, okay? It's a 7-year loan. It's a 53.9% interest rate, which is actually very good for your age. And this will help because it helps build up a credit rating. So when you want to buy a house later on, so they're already setting in your mind like, yeah, this is cute debt. We've got real debt later on coming for you, but don't worry about that just yet. This personal loan is just for you, okay? So the repayments super cheap, okay, because you've got the loan over 14 years. The repayments are only $79 every 3 days. But just get used to paying that, because how this works is like what you actually do. Here's how you figure out your wage. You're like, oh, I earn $100,000 a year. I pay $40,000 of it in tax, and I automatically have to take off about $20,000 of that for my rent or whatever. And then on top of that, you're going to have, you know, your other repayments, your personal loan, your car loan, your reconsolidation loan for the 4 loans you had when you were 17, and blah, blah, blah. But basically the idea is you're always going to be in debt, okay? If you're always in debt, this means that you're always going to need money, okay? Now I'm going to go out on a limb and say, you've got debt. Oh, wow, ding, 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 ding. So this means that if you're always in debt and you always need money, you need to always be geared in a way that you're like, okay, money positive, right? And unfortunately, what you really need to do is be like $10,000 past what you actually need at all times. That's a real safe spot. $10,000 will get you out of most situations that you're going to face in your life that are like real emergencies. You need to travel overseas. You need to get this surgery. You need to get your dog the legs broke or something. But $10,000 is about right. But everyone pretty much operates at about 30 cents above what they actually need. So they're like, cool, my real outgoing living expenses are like $1,000 a week. So I just got to make $1,000.30 a week, and I'm gravy, brother. I can keep pumping them vapes. I can keep going out on a Saturday night. I can keep up with my car repayments, even though it's fucked in the shed. Right, I'm good, okay? Oh, and I've afterpaid one of my speeding bills because I can't afford it this week. There's so many things going on. I got to get the house cleaned. You know, I got to wash my car. I got all these things that they can just do themselves, but they pay money to do it. Anyway, too far down the rabbit hole. Point being is, you're always looking for money. You're always looking for money. So what people do is they get security. They go and get a job. And the reason they want full time is because it means they get sick leave, they get holiday leave, and every week they're getting that same amount of money. So that means that you can start to build structure in your life, right? Oh, it's all starting to resonate. This is your life, right? Oh yeah, I make $700 a week. My outgoings are $450 a week, which means I've got, quick math, whatever that is left per week to spend on whatever I want to do. And what do? You do whatever you want to do. Unfortunately, and what did I say? You got 700, you spend 400, you got like 250? Whatever, so I think it's like 250. Say you got $250 a week left. What actually happens is you go out and you spend 350. However that works, you just spend 350, right? So you've then got this structure that you can go on. You're like, cool, I'm all good. I can go to work. I can do my thing. You know, if I'm really not vibing my job, every now and then I can pull a sickie. You know, I can say, oh yeah, I'm going to Melbourne in fucking November. I'm going to take that time off, and you get the time off and you go to Melbourne and you come back. But the idea is you're always coming back, you're always rocking up tomorrow, you've got a full-time job because you're going to be here, right? And what that does, and I'm telling you this from my perspective of not operating in that system for about 2 or 3 years, and please remember that the fucking 10 years before that, I did operate in the system. So I am very, very fucking aware of what is going on versus what is happening. Right? Because this, like, I'm now at a point where I'm like chilling out. That first year that you get out of the system, you're still wired. I got to get money. You know? Now I have no debt. I haven't had debt for about 6 years now. I got myself out of debt and I was like, wow, that's fucked, right? Because you're never really out of debt. But then when you get out of debt, you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm in my 20s and I don't have any debt. You know, I can just do anything I want now. So if I have $1,000, that's just my $1,000. Are you kidding me? Anyway. So that first year, I'm still like staying awake at night, like, fuck, I've only got $17 to my name. How am I going to live? And what's going to happen if someone needs, you know, like, you're still on that, like, kind of like flighty response, like, fuck, I need to make money. And now I'm at a point where, like, I'm fine. 2 weeks ago, I had $70 in my account as a 30-year-old. Hey, Citizen of the Year nominee, but as a 30-year-old, $70 in my account. And it didn't worry me, because money comes and money goes, and I'm good at what I do, and I'm confident in what I do, and I have faith in myself, and I have faith in the greater picture, and I know that I don't have to worry about that. And the more I worry about it, the further away it gets, right? So I just relax. And when I relax, I have time, and I have energy. Now you're probably thinking, okay, well, I've got my security of my income. I have my full-time status. I know that I make $1,500 a week. Mate, I'm on $220,000 a year. I've got all the fucking time and energy in the world. You don't. You don't. Because every day you put on whatever uniform you have to put on. I'm sure there's a little baby compartment, tiny room in the back of your mind that has some sort of feeling about that, whether it's resentment or you like your uniform or, yeah, I just like it if we got to wear brown instead of blue, or like, I wouldn't mind getting some new boots. These ones are a bit, whatever. And then you've got to go to work, and then you've got to say hello to everyone, and then you've got to go through that bullshit morning routine that you do, whether it's a pre-start or a JSA or a fucking huddle or whatever it might be, or standing around the water cooler, and then you do your job. Now, whatever your job is, it takes bandwidth, it takes energy, it takes focus. That's literally why you're getting paid, because you have to do something. You have to do a thing that is right? Something, you. So you then do that, and then you go to Smoko, and then you either do have your conversation with your workmates or whatever it might be, or maybe you put a podcast in so you can escape the reality that you're at this place just for 15 minutes listening to someone else's voice living a better life than you. And I was actually thinking about me in that situation, listening to someone like Tom Segura, not you listening to me on your work break. I'm not living a better life. I'm living a different life. You know what? Fuck it. It's probably better. I can do wheelies, okay? So then you go back to work. You go do that something that you're getting paid to do again. You go to lunch. You avoid them with your podcast or you listen to them. And then you do your last bit. And then you go home and you drive home and you get stuck in traffic and you're running out of fuel. You got to get fuel. You got to do this thing. You get home at 6 o'clock. Oh, I had more time to think before Smoko than what you did the whole day. Which means that I'm probably thinking more in one day about shit that just comes to me, that is just available, that's just in the infinite awareness, that is waiting for me to pluck it out and turn it into inspiration and execute it into this world, changing it forever. I get more of that in a day than you do in a week. And then you do that over and 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 over again. You get to a point where I'm just like, oh wow, my world is quiet. I don't actually advertise any of my skills. I promote what I do, and then people come to me and get me to do their jobs. The city comes to me and tells me, you've been nominated for Citizen of the Year, and we're appropriating that by actually following through with a nomination, right? The city came to me and said, you're doing cool things. Do you want to make an event? And I had time to think about it and say yes. And now I have time to execute it and do it the absolute best that I possibly can. And man, I say this because if you can do this, you definitely should. And it's scary, man, because I know that you can. That's the biggest thing. I don't even need to know who you are. If I did it, the most average dude, you can do it. Maybe you can't do what I can do, but you can do what you can do. And what you can do is completely left up to what you think you can do, what you can put faith into you doing, right? Think back about when I explained that roller disco, right? Just before, like 20 minutes ago, whatever it was, I told you. That goal is so far out of my reach, out of my expectation of myself, out of what I think I can possibly do, and watch me fucking do it. Because I don't have faith in the project itself. I got faith in me that I've done enough reps and enough things that rep, sure, is bigger and it's got more knobs on it and it's a little bit more scary, but it's just a rep. And I've done reps. Reps don't scare me, right? And just know that it is scary. It is scary. I am scared every day. I'm not scared of the work that it takes. And like, as I said before, like it's a very contradicting thing to say you've got freedom and time, but yet you're scared. I'm scared that this is so fucking optimally living that something might happen and it will be taken away from me. And I'm trying to create a bulletproof strategy and a bulletproof character that can withstand anything that is thrown at me. But the truth is, if a nuclear bomb is dropped tomorrow, it's all taken away from me. If the internet stops tomorrow, it's all taken away from me. You know, you wake up with a fucking tickle in your throat and you've got throat cancer, it's all taken away from me, you know? And even with each of those situations, as I'm saying them, my mind's like, oh, you could do this, you could do that, could do that. Yeah, but the point is, yeah, it's scary. And as I said earlier in this podcast, I lean on intuition. I go with the wind. If it doesn't feel right, even if it's worth a lot of money, I don't do it. right? And that's fucking scary because you have to trust every day that you're believing in an invisible spirit-like sense that guides you on your path, that everything that happens to you is for a reason and it's part of a greater picture. That's so fucking scary. But you know what the payoff is? I have time and energy to record this podcast and tell you about it. And shit, dude, that's the fucking end of the podcast. Did you hear that? That was perfect. Are you kidding me? Be good to your mum, guys, because we are fucking out. Yahoo!